read a story that was published in By The Overpass. Okay, it's called The Bridge. People who came back the next morning saw thousands of shoes laying on the bridge. Stilettos, boots, sandals, sneakers, and slippers of all kinds and colors. The government erected tents by the river to lay the corpses. It was not supposed to happen. The water festival was organized to celebrate the peace that came after 7 years of Cold War and 4 years of battling with the neighboring country. The river was declared borderline between two countries. A year after reconciliation being secured, the government decided to start an annual festival in the honor of peace and built a bridge over the river. The bridge was 26 feet wide, 328 feet long, made of steel and decorated with thousands of light bulbs for the festival. A boat race, fishing competitions, dance performances, and concerts took place during the first and second days of the festival. On the third and last day, people were going to be allowed to walk to the end of the bridge and meet their relatives at the other side of the border, even if behind the fence. 370 people died and 700 were injured on the bridge that night. There were different speculations about what happened. The conservative Daily Review, The True Path, told its readers that the cause of the deaths was the increasing amount of homosexuals in the country. God punished those infidels at last. According to an underground group of communists, which was called Agora, the rich people were to blame. They gave high voltages of electricity to the bridge to watch the poor people run and burn like chickens. The pro-government Daily Review, the Liberty News, wrote that the perpetrator of the event was the neighboring country. They couldn't stand their fast-growing economy and set a trap to take them down. They were jealous of the financial aid from the United Nations and the European Union. The government sent police and soldiers to the avenue the next day and started an investigation. 4 tents were erected by the river to keep the corpses. There weren't enough coffins. They were not ready for such a disaster. The tents looked like fish markets with the corpses laid side to side waiting for people to identify them. 4 days after the disaster, 60% of the corpses was identified by their families, and an unbearable odor surrounded the area. The police stood guard at night to keep the dogs, crows, and wild animals away from the bodies. On the 6th day, all the corpses were identified, and on the 7th day, the government arranged a funeral for the dead. Everything went back to normal after the funeral. People stopped talking about that night as if they agreed on finding the solace in silence. Nobody really realized the absence of young Hun until the 12th day. On the 12th day, his neighbor got suspicious because she hadn't seen him in a while. She went to the shack he lived in to check on him in the morning. He was gone. Nobody knew where he was. She went to the police station and filled a missing persons report. The news of the missing boy spread in town quickly. The president decided it was a great opportunity to regain the prestige he had lost because of the unfortunate event. He appeared on TV and yelled out, spitting all over the mic and the press members, that the boy had to be found. He was the last hope remaining from the disaster. He would be a consolation to the mothers who lost their children on that sad night. It was the civic duty of everyone to look for this youngster. A religious group spread a rumor that people who take part in the search of this boy would go straight to heaven. Shortly after, everyone was looking for the boy. All the newspapers started speculating about the missing boy this time. Another investigation was started repeatedly. An old woman said that she saw the boy on the bridge that night. He had a halo on his head and enormous wings made of light. He stepped on people's shoulders and passed the bridge, then disappeared in the starry night. He was the angel of death. The old lady frowned under her glasses and stared at a spot on the floor as if she was trying to remember that day. The young policeman beat the wooden floor with his shoe heels impatiently. Silence followed the question. They were sitting in a small room on the ground floor with a few pieces of furniture. A table, a sewing machine, 2 chairs, and a velvet curtain separating the room from the dressing room. I saw him on the way to the farmer's market that morning. He told me he was going to get some milk and bread before heading to his job at the post office. I told him we were going to throw a big dinner party that night. It was the 28th anniversary of my husband's death. I told him he should come out and have some turkey and rice. The poor kid was very thin. It was hard to tell if he had been eating anything lately. My little stupid granddaughter was in love with him. I wanted him to be my grandson-in-law. I convinced him to come over for a cup of coffee after work once. I even made a new sky blue dress for my granddaughter and told her to brush her hair before he arrives. Oh, my little foolish girl, as he was looking at her, carrying the coffee cups. This is going to happen, I thought. Then she got so excited that she stumbled and spilled all the coffee on the ground. His face was filled with horror looking at the girl. He rushed out of the room and never came back again. It's so sad that he disappeared. No one else will marry my granddaughter. She's a nice girl. She knows how to cook and she's very clean. But she's silent, you know. She doesn't talk much. It's good that she doesn't, because as soon as she opens her mouth, men understand how stupid she is and take advantage of her. She is beautiful like an angel, but has no brains, she said, and looked out the window for a moment. There were 2 young ladies staring at the window of a boutique across the street. A fruit vendor was slicing a peeled apple for a middle-aged man. A group of young men were walking side to side. Their faces were invisible between their hats and their collars. All of them had their hands in their pockets. They worked at the only factory in town, like most of men. We hardly made her finish the 5th grade. It would be good for both sides. The boy would have someone to do his laundry and eat warm food every day. He didn't have any relatives. His poor mom died a long time ago, and his father, that son of a bitch, left with his little sister during the war. He took the little girl because he wanted to make her work for him, I bet. It'd be hard to handle a young boy. Thank God that we heard he had died of cancer. The little girl was very easygoing, but the boy was very shy. Whenever I tried to talk to him about my granddaughter, he blushed. He moved impatiently where he stood, as if he was in some kind of physical pain or had to pee, looking away as if asking for permission to leave. He said he was going to the water festival after work. I didn't insist. All the young people were interested in seeing the new bridge. The governor said that they were organizing a race in the honor of the new bridge, and the first one to reach to the other side would get $500. All the town wanted the money.